Have you ever heard someone say that the Bible is just a wacky story that's been translated so many times that we can't trust it anymore? That's a common claim, but let's break down the evidence for why the Bible is actually a remarkably reliable and historically grounded document. Hi, my name's Casey. I'm a former pastor with over 20 years' experience in the ministry. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in biblical studies, and I want to teach you how to read, study, interpret, and apply the Bible. First, let's clear up a big misconception about the original languages. The Old Testament was not written in ancient Greek. It was primarily composed in Hebrew, with some parts in Aramaic. The New Testament was originally written in Koine Greek, which was the common language of the time. So from the very beginning, the Bible's linguistic origins are firmly rooted in its ancient Near Eastern and Mediterranean context. Now, about those translations, skeptics often claim the Bible was translated by a biased group to mislead people. However, the history of translation shows a meticulous commitment to accuracy. Take the Latin Vulgate, for example. Its translator, St. Jerome, was a scholar who went back to the original Hebrew and Greek texts to ensure accuracy, even when it meant departing from older traditions. Later, English traditions like the King James Version were the result of an extensive scholarly process involving around 60 men working in a highly collaborative and rigorous way. This process made it impossible for any single person to impose their personal bias. Today, we have a variety of translations, and their different philosophies, word for word or thought for thought, are transparently explained, which is the opposite of a deceptive conspiracy. So we know the originals were in Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek, and that the translations were scholarly endeavors. But what about the claim that the text itself was corrupted over time? This is where the evidence is truly powerful. For the Old Testament, we have Jewish scribes called the Masoretes, who between 500 and 950 AD developed a complicated system of safeguards to prevent scribal errors. Their meticulous care is a testament to their deep belief in the divine origin of the text, not a desire to manipulate it. For the New Testament, we have an unparalleled abundance of evidence. There are over 5,700 Greek manuscripts, some dating back to within a century or two of the original writings. This allows scholars to cross-verify and reconstruct the earliest texts with a very high degree of confidence. While there are variants, over 99% of them are minor scribal errors like spelling differences that don't affect the meaning of the text. The few intentional changes were typically pious attempts to clarify or harmonize, not to create a new fabricated story. Most importantly, no major Christian doctrine is affected by these variants. Finally, let's address the claim that the Bible has no alignment with historical facts. This is simply not true. Archaeological and extra-biblical discoveries consistently corroborate biblical accounts. For example, the Teldan stele provides the first historical evidence for King David outside of the Bible. The Taylor Prism and Siloam Tunnel inscription corroborate King Hezekiah's reign and his actions during an Assyrian siege. The Pilate stone confirms the existence of Pontius Pilate as the prefect of Judea, just as the New Testament describes. And non-biblical historians like Josephus and Tacitus also corroborate the existence of Jesus and his crucifixion under Pilate. While some events like the Exodus are still subjects of scholarly debate, conservative scholars actively engage with these challenges, using archaeology to refine their understanding rather than abandoning the historicity of the narratives. The consistent alignment of biblical accounts with independent historical records shows the Bible is not a fabricated story, but a document rooted in real history. So when you consider the linguistic origins, the meticulous preservation and transmission of the text, the scholarly translation efforts, and the compelling historical and archaeological evidence, it's clear that the Bible is a trustworthy and reliable document. It's far from a wacky story. Hey, put your questions in the comments and your thoughts. Also, be sure to like, share, and to follow.